Hey everyone, we just finished up our live session. We focused today on the Elate Lamp from Leah Amick. Really fun project build, and today Sean and I focus on kind of the complicated intricacies of this build. It's an advanced show, but it's a lot of fun. Hope you enjoy it.
If you're watching this on YouTube, this was a live show every other Thursday, 4 p.m. Pacific on sessions.shapertools.com. You can check us out. We have some fun ones coming up, and we'd love to have you there. We have giveaways, and you can ask us questions in the comments while the show's going on. And we answer it at the end. So enjoy the show, and we'll see you soon.
See you in there. Hello everybody, and welcome to Shaper Sessions. My name is Jake.
And I am Sean.
And we have a fun project build for y'all today. We're going to make one of our favorites, the Elate Lamp from our friend Leah Amick.
It's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
It's a little advanced.
Yeah.
You know, it's not the simplest build.
Deceptively advanced for a very simple and modern lamp.
Yeah, and you can learn a lot by building it, I'd say. There's a lot of different techniques that we went through, and yeah, today's going to be a fun one. We'll go through all sorts of interesting setups, some things you may have never tried before, and as you can see in front of us, a wide swath of bit choices.
Yeah, we'll be bit swapping a lot, spindle swapping a lot today. We're going to do a lot of it on Bench Pilot, and we're going to click out and do some hand cutting as well. So a reminder to everyone, this is a totally live show. Please use that comment section. Ask your questions along the way. We have Ted in the chat. He's going to be answering the ones that he can, and he's going to save the juicy ones for us at the end where we do a live Q&A and give away some cool stuff.
We got some good ones today, too.
Yeah. To enter that giveaway, please answer our poll question about halfway through the show to enter your name into a chance to win. We'll spin the wheel at the end. I'm excited. I want to actually.
Me too.
I'm going to build this one to completion and take it home.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so we're going to have another one almost by the end of the show.
Yeah.
We won't cut quite everything, but we're going to go through the fun parts.
Yes.
So, Jake, what are we doing first?
So we're going to do the neck, which I think is such a cool construction method. Part of what makes this lamp so cool is that the cord weaves its way through the neck in a way that's kind of fun, playful, adjustable, and with the use of color cord, which is just a braided, fabric braided colored cord. It's a pop of color. It's a way to really style this and make it your own. You get to choose the shade color, cord color, and I believe one of the best places to buy this cord and all the stuff you need to make the lamp is called coloredcord.com.
Yeah, color cord. I think a lot of the instructions, which we should go over before we get into cutting,
Yeah.
you can buy kind of all the parts there, the fittings, the wire, everything electrical you need down to the plug. And actually, that website has really good wiring instructions if you've never really done this before. It's not that complicated, and yeah, it's kind of a fun entry into electrical work and also woodworking. So
Totally.
let's jump in. I'll show you really quickly the project, and then we'll dive into the neck. Okay, here we are on Shaper Hub, our platform for sharing projects. You can see Leah also has some other projects here, but if you're looking for this lamp, I'd say go to the search bar on the top and type in lamp. It's going to sort and find a bunch of different lamps, but you'll see hers in the top left corner here. Let's just go ahead and click that. This is the Elate table lamp. This was a project that we developed with Leah. Actually, if you go to Leah's website, which is here, this is a different version of the lamp that she made years before, and she makes these. And we made some tweaks and changes to how she built it to speed up the process, make things more efficient, and take advantage of origin. You can even see here there's a little standoff in between this and the shade. That doesn't exist in the Shaper version, but she's got some cool stuff. She also has a lot of other cool projects. The Correlate Trivet's a really popular one in Shaper Hub, but this is definitely one of the more advanced ones you can see labeled here. It does take quite a while, and obviously you have to buy all the parts first. There's a bunch of files for all the different parts, and then there's a video on YouTube, which we won't show now, that also goes over a lot of the stuff we're talking about, where she talks about building it all. And then if you go to the downloads or sync this to your files, you'll see inside of here there is a PDF called the Elate Table Lamp Instructions. Now, let's just come to this top camera real quick. Especially for things like this, I love to just print it out. It's a pretty thick book, and essentially it walks you through the process of all the steps. And some of these are very simple steps, and others are like, hey, on this piece, you need to cut this, then you need to cut that, then you need to cut this. And she's broken it down into steps. So it's a really beautiful PDF with lots of information in it. And if you ever get stuck, you can pretty much come back to this PDF and you'll have everything you need. So,
yeah. Like premium project level instructions that you can get for free.
We really, when we were trying to take her lamp and turn it into something for Origin, we're thinking about what do we want to teach people? What, if I recall, it's kind of been a long time ago. This came out right when we launched Workstation. And so we were trying to figure out how to take advantage of Workstation. So there's some pretty interesting fixturing that we'll show and talk about throughout the show. But I think, that's how you find it on ShaperHub, and it's a free project, so no excuse.
And now we're going to let Benchpilot do some of the work.
Exactly.
So cool. All right. Well, I'm excited. We're going to start with the neck. This has got 3 different cutters going into it.
Correct.
So I'm going to go ahead and click in.
This is going to be our 1/4 inch round nose, and so maybe we can just show this off while you're getting that set up. This is essentially a ball nose bit. That's a 1/4 inch. And we're going to use that to cut the material. We do need to grid first if you haven't set that up. So, set our engraving bit in one of these to speed it up a little bit. This project does a lot of bit changes. And so if you do have multiple spindles, it's great to line them up. If you don't, just take out the bit, replace it, etc. But I will say there are a lot of the directions were before Benchpilot, before encoded depth, before a lot of these features that made it their way to Origin. And so they may not be as efficient as they used to be. And especially now with Benchpilot, there's a lot of times where you start cutting with an 1/8 inch, change to these other specialty cutters, and then change back to the 1/8 inch. So, keep that in mind when you're looking at this. This hasn't been updated in some number of years. Okay, so one note on this is for best quality, you should set these up as a book match.
Yeah.
So when you put this together, it's going to be really hard to see it, but if you don't have a nice book match, you're going to see the seam down the back of the lamp. If you take your time and get a book match and fold it out properly, like she has in here, when you put it together, the seam's almost invisible, and just makes for a much cleaner, nicer look. So that was like one of the things that we were like, okay, how do we build that up?
Yeah. So step 1 to making sure that your book matches all line up is where you grid and place. So my first piece up here, I have a front left grid. And then for my second piece, we're doing a front right grid.
Yeah, and it is a little mind bending when you have to think, where do the grids go in relationship to the parts? But what I would do is take the book matches, open them up correctly, and then mark the corners that we're touching, because those are the parts that you need to have your grid aligned to. And I always say, it's a lot easier to put a little pencil on wood to remember where things are supposed to be aligned to than, screw it up later.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Back to my bull nose.
Dude, should we have a little app that counts our spindle swaps on screen?
This is where that spindle bandolier would have come in handy.
That's right.
All right. 1/4 inch bull nose in. Quick Z-touch. And click in. Now I'm only interested in cutting these channels. So when I go ahead and hit that green button to preview, I need to edit my selection. In a situation like this, it's easier just to deselect all and simply select the channel.
Yeah, so with Benchpilot, it's super easy to cut partial projects. Just change your selection, hit cut, we're going to run that, and then come back and edit that selection.
And I can even hit back because I need to adjust my cut depth, which I believe it will list. Measure, chord, for depth and width. I'm going to assume it's just...
It's 0.15, says the PDF. This was before encoded depth was released on Origin as well, so I don't believe this file has any encoded depths in it.
That's all right. 0.15, and I'm going to leave that offset at 0. And it says I'm going to do this in one pass. We can go ahead and give it a roughing pass.
Seems good.
All right. Preview. We can't cut it with a roughing pass, so we got to go straight to it.
Yeah, let's explain that for a second because people might have run into this before.
So it's now red instead of the green.
Yeah, red means that there is some setting that's keeping BenchPilot from being able to cut this. In this case, it's probably a pretty tight channel, close to 1/4 of an inch, but roughing pass is going to add extra dimension onto that channel, and so it can't fit here. So we can do two things. One, we can extend the offset to cut beyond that, or the better option for us is just turn roughing passes off, and let's see if that works. Yeah, so you can see here how close the little dotted, the marching ants are, and that means we are basically cutting exactly on the line, don't have a lot of room for error. But with BenchPilot, that's okay. BenchPilot's a lot stiffer than you are as a human.
Yeah.
And so even if you have to cut, on path without a roughing pass, your cut quality will be quite good. We just probably want to make sure our speeds aren't too high.
Yeah, I think my travel speed's 21. I might tweak that. And my spindle speed is 4.5.
All right. All right, so Jake's checking it out, watching it while he starts this cut. And this is always good with BenchPilot, as you're starting a cut. Take a look at the size of those chips that are coming out. Make sure you're not burning. Make sure that the cut quality looks good. And then, after that, you can kind of take your eyes off it and go get something else done in the shop. Maybe selecting that cord or wiring up the cord. This is one of the beauties of having BenchPilot in the shop. It's kind of hard to remember. When you only have Origin, it's almost like a meditative, enjoyable thing to like drive Origin. Mm-hmm. But once you get BenchPilot, you'll start questioning that, and it's so great when you're if you're a lone woodworker in your own shop. Just think about the time where BenchPilot can let you do other options or other things in the shop.
Yeah, I trust running BenchPilot a lot faster than I trust myself to screen through certain materials.
Oh yeah, I mean it's a very rigid system that really, people are amazed by the cut quality of BenchPilot just because of how well it operates. Okay,
I feel like typically with bull nose bits or any kind of radius bit, they love to burn.
Yeah. And what speed were you running here for people who are probably asking in the chat?
I was at 36 inches per minute on my travel speed and a 4.5 on the spindle speed.
Yep.
And I don't see a single dark spot, even on the plunge and retract, which
it looks great.
Awesome.
Yeah, if you see burning, either BenchPilot needs to dry faster, so raise that auto speed up, or slow that spindle speed down. And I think, when you start using BenchPilot, your spindle speeds are going to drop way down. By hand, you kind of want it to feel good, but with BenchPilot, I'm running normally at 3 or 4 now instead of 4 to 5.
Yeah, because you're looking for that.
I'm just looking for big chips because I want my bits to last a long time.
May I have let's go to the burgundy cord.
Sure may. We didn't even show this. Look at this.
Gorgeous.
Ooh, yeah. So they have all sorts of colors. I guess, should we show a few other ones off while we're doing this?
Not?
This one is pretty sweet.
Seafoam.
A nice seafoam. Look at it. Some of this is just pairing it up with your wood,
Yeah, I'm rocking European beech.
This is a beech, so it's going to have a different vibe than
actually.
I think this is better
because it kind of has a pinkish hue.
Yeah.
So let's go.
It's probably like some complementary
80s
color or
flare.
something. Yeah, so this is
That's perfect.
when I built mine, I made it really tight here, and I thought that was amazing. And I'll tell you a little thing. You don't want it super tight because we're going to glue this up together, and then you have to feed that cord through.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all fabric on the outside, and as soon as you start trying to shove it through, it's going to rip that fabric, the little wood fibers, and especially that entrance point. So I would say, like, you want it a little bit looser than you probably think you do. It also, if you come over to this camera in the front, you can kind of see the angle that it runs. So you can push it in where this is fully setted, so you don't really see it from the front. But that means it's a pretty sharp angle coming out here. And so just keep an eye. Like, there's plenty of room in this one, Jake. Look, take a look at this one, and you can see kind of how much play there is in that. You know, like, it's not super tight. I made mine super tight and paid the price by scratching up my beautiful color cord.
I didn't think about the fact that you had cut it up on the edge of the wood.
Yeah, when I tried to pull it through, it just like didn't want to go because it's such a nice fabric on the outside. It's all woven.
Okay.
So maybe a little offset,
I'll give it just a smidge.
a smidgen.
Talking -5 thou?
Yeah,
Is that too small?
I would go more like 8 or 9 probably.
Okay.
We think in these very small numbers, but in the real world, it's almost nothing, you know?
All right. I'm going to run this real quick.
Okay. All right, so a quick second pass. And once you made that selection on Bench Pilot, it's not going to change. The only time it's going to change is if you reload that workspace or reboot your tool, then it's going to kind of start over. But if we just have it on, powered on, the selection will stay. You can hit go again. It's going to cut the same things it previously cut over and over and over. And you'll see in a minute, after this cut's finished, we're going to go change that selection and start selecting other areas of the lamp.
Now, is this, in the PDF, is this something that Leah calls out that you might want to make it a little bigger?
She does not.
Because my inclination, it fits so perfectly.
Yeah,
I would have made the same.
Well, and it does. You're so used on Origin making things fit perfectly. When I put mine together, I had to rip that fabric all up. I mean, it's essentially a woven cloth that goes all the way down the external sheath. And yeah, I was like, oh man, I almost had to take a circular rasp and rasp out the holes so I could get the cord in. All right. So that's good. So a little extra space is always nice. You don't need a press fit in this situation, you know.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's got just a little bit of room.
Great. All right. So that's cutting with ball nose bit. If you can't really see it in this, you know, that channel is rounded and it fits exactly the diameter of this cord. So nice and compact inside of there.
So next operation, we always kind of work our way out.
Yep.
Is going to be the alignment pins and the joint.
Yes. So when we were gluing these up originally, because it's such a long, skinny thing, it was super hard to align both of the pieces without them sliding around and during glue up. And so Leah said, hey, what if we add some dowel holes in there and just, you can cut some small dowels, slap them in there, and then that way when you glue it up, it's no problem. Pretty nice little trick because we have both pieces open and we can cut without going all the way through and no one will ever see those joints.
Yeah.
Beautiful little use of dowel joints.
So we're going to go preview cuts again. Go ahead and edit and deselect all.
Now, we should show them a little pro tip here. If you have to select a bunch of stuff in Bench Pilot, you can unclip from Bench Pilot while you're in this selection mode.
What? Oh my.
And now it's a lot easier to move Origin around, and you can go select all those without having to drag the Bench Pilot with you.
This part always feels like a video game to me. It's very fun.
Were you a pretty big video game person when growing up?
I was not.
Really?
Had like one or two.
My parents wouldn't even let us have a TV in the house, so my video game career was much later in life.
Did it make you double down?
Yeah, during high school and college, I doubled down for sure. Okay, so now that you're there, you clip back in.
That's so cool.
Ready to go.
We get the bounding box the second we clip in.
Yep. Okay.
Next thing.
We need those little dowels, don't we? They're back here.
Yeah. I need to adjust my depth.
Now, this is a cool one. If the way depth works on Bench Pilot is if none of the shapes are encoded and you go to cut, whatever the depth on the tool is what they'll all be cut to. So if nothing's encoded and you selected these shapes, you could just set it to whatever you want and it'll cut all the shapes to that. When you go into preview mode, if you click the green button, Jake, if all of those are the same, you'll see up here it says 0.15. If they are not the same, it will say mixed, and that's a heads up that, hey, all the things that are selected are either going to be cut to the same depth, which is this, or something else. Just a quick tip for when you're making sure you don't make a mistake working with non-encoded files.
This leads to a great opportunity to just encode things on the fly.
Correct.
So now that notch is 0.25. I'm going to do the same thing to the opposing joint. 0.25. And instead of selecting every single one here, I'm just going to I'm going to make this my global depth 0.313.
Yeah, so Jake's doing a pretty cool advanced trick. Anything that's not encoded will get cut to whatever the tool depth is set to, and then anything that's encoded will get to cut to the encoded depth. So now he can go and select those other two as well if he wanted to for the pockets and have it cut all of those at the same time.
Which ones?
If you want to cut the joints at the end.
Oh, they're already
great.
selected. We're good
Great.
to go.
So now everything's set up to cut.
And now it says mixed, like you were talking
Correct.
about.
And now it says mixed. And so if you're ever like, no, all these are supposed to be cut to the same, mixed is a bad
That's your
piece
warning.
of info. So just check that before you hit go.
All right. Do we think I should give it a little offset for these guys?
I think, Jake, I think you're skipping steps, It's like, it's a risky business,
Yeah.
But hey, you're driving today, so if you wanna go in one, I'm happy.
I'm just gonna let it rip.
All right, let's go. Okay, so you saw it said mixed, but as soon as we start cutting, you'll see that number has changed. And so now this is going to be cut to 0.25. And so you kind of get an idea of what's actually happening while it's cutting. And you'll watch as we go from this shape to the other shapes. We're going to watch that global depth change from 0.25 to 0.15. So it's going to cut the other pocket first. Bench Pilot always cuts all the pockets first, and then it will continue to cut all the inside shapes, and then it'll cut all the outside shapes after that if there were. In this case, we only have insides and pockets, and so Bench Pilot automatically clears pockets out for you. You don't really have to worry about that. The detail of that is that it cuts half the bit diameter every pocket cut, and so you're basically 50% bit engaged, and then we will go around and do the final pass on the inside automatically. And then that little shape's done. And now you can see the depth change to 0.313. Now you can also see in the bottom left-hand corner, it says 313 in a guide. And this was kind of how before encoded depth came into life that we did this. Instead of encoding shapes to depth, you would just kind of draw the number next to the shape and look at it and type it in. But I don't know, as of 4 or 5 updates ago, someone would probably tell me what update it came out in. You have the ability to put the data right into the SVG file, and then Bench Pilot will just read that off. And it keeps you from making mistakes. you know, everyone's had the classic thing of where they're cutting with origin and they forget, they change the depth, they move over to a different shape, and all of a sudden, boom, it's cutting too deep. So if you use an encoded depth, it will not do that. All right, what just happened, Jake?
This is worth pointing out because it's happened to me before. Probably won't happen to you because you don't have necessarily a camera rig hanging off yours. But when you're using Bench Pilot, make sure, if you go to that overhead, possibly. No. Make sure that your cords are not going to get snagged on anything, and you have plenty of slack for things to move around.
Yep. And you know, Origin and Bench Pilot, if it detects that it can't get to the space it needs to, it will retract, kind of stop, put this error, and then you can just fix your problem, hit OK, turn the spindle back on, and it'll continue where it left off. You'll see right now we only have 4 shapes left to cut because we've already cut the other ones. So, you know, you don't have to worry about it. Even, I mean, there's times where my wife is yelling my name out and I just hit stop, talk to her for a second, and then continue the cut. And so super nice to be able to stop a cut and continue it at any point. Sometimes, you know, Jake, what we could have done, you could have stopped it after it cut the first dowel, fit it, and then change the offset if you needed to and let it cut the rest.
I thought about that. I just went and tested it as I
oh, you did?
Fixed the cord.
Secret test.
Perfect fit.
With 0 offset.
0 offset, because I think these dowels are slightly sub.
Yeah, I mean, the getting the dowels kind of tight is nice because that means that when you go to glue it up, there's gonna be no movement. Okay.
Beautiful.
Oh yeah, nice. Okay.
Yeah. It's not going to fight me on.
Hey, put it over here so you don't lose it.
Good choices. I am going.
That's what I'm here for, Jake. Good choices.
Good choices on.
Except for when you're not in sessions, then I go a little chaos mode.
I'm like looking for my sanding stick and I didn't bring it.
Sanding stick.
Yeah, I want to knock off any.
All right.
There you go.
It's always in orange breach.
All
right.
So knock that fuzz.
That's the cord channel plus the dowels, and now we just need to cut the profiles out. We are going to cut this with an 1/8" bit.
Really?
That's what it says. I'm just following the rules. I mean, you want to cut it out with a 1/4?
Whatever Leah thinks.
She said 1/8. I don't know if there's a reason.
I would think 1/4 just so we can do it in less depth passes.
Let's do a 1/4.
But who knows? Maybe there's an inside corner somewhere that I'm missing.
Oh, actually, there is.
That's got to be it.
So
a tight radius.
So there's a little joint in the bottom that we're going to use later, and I don't think a 1/4" bit fits in there.
Okay. Sorry, I had to do that.
Jake loves sanding.
I do.
Okay, so outside profile, 1/8" bit.
Down to 1/2" thick.
Yep, turn that roughing pass back on so we get a clean cut.
0.51.
You're going to send it? Single pass?
No, just 1/4" passes.
Yeah.
With a 0.03. Just round that out to 0.02.
Okay.
So 0.02 roughing pass, 2 depth passes, and I'll keep an eye on it.
All right, let's do it.
Speed 5. Preview. And same thing. Deselect all. And just select those outside paths. Beautiful.
All right, so Yeah, so the other corner, I believe, has a small cut into it that we're going to use to make the joint with the base later. I want to say it's like right around this corner.
Yep, there it is.
Yep, that's the
whoop-de-doo.
one. You can't hit that with a 1/4 inch bit. So we need that cutout when we show you how the joint works after the break to allow kind of a cutout where it's going to attach. She came up with a pretty sweet little joint for this one, I'd say.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's like thinking it through. Leah's a very three-dimensional designer. She builds a lot of stuff in 3D, and when you think that up front, you can do some smart things to make things work. And so, wait till after the break, and we got some fun little process. All right, Jake. So what are you thinking so far?
I'm thinking it's approaching its finish pass. I'm gonna go turn down the feed speed.
Ooh. So you're gonna you send it a little higher on the roughing passes, and then just a slight twist of that knob as it gets to the finish. Lower it down a little bit to 35, 34. Improve that cut quality a little bit.
Not totally necessary, but I'm thinking we got an 1/8 inch bit. I really don't want these small parts to get knocked loose.
Yep.
By just the sheer force of the cutter. I do have a lot of double-sided tape on there, so I'm confident it's not going to happen.
If you're out of double-sided tape, you better head over to the Shaper store because that stuff is the best.
It really is. There's a reason we sell it.
Kind of mesmerizing watching it go, huh?
It is. And once it moves on to the second one, I can go pop the first one out. There we go.
All right. First one going up to the second one. Pro tip, when you're using Bench Pilot, if you have multiple shapes selected and you want to cut one or the other, you can actually start the cut closer to the shape you want to cut first. The kind of general theory of how Bench Pilot selects what's going to be cut, starts and works its way down to the cut types, starting with online cuts, followed by pocket cuts, inside cuts, then outside cuts. But within each of those categories, it also looks at the proximity. So if you have a bunch of inside cuts, whatever is closest to you is going to be cut first. And then when it finishes that cut, it's going to look for the next closest object. So in the case that Jake wanted to take one of these loose, if he were to cut the top first, he wouldn't be able to get to the second one. But here, because he cut the bottom first, as it's cutting that top one, he can kind of try to grab that one out, check it, make sure nothing's going on while it's cutting the other ones. Yeah, it's a little harder with the camera stuff blocking it, but I have faith in Jake. Oh, he's really getting in there. You got 2 minutes. Uh-oh. It's man versus machine. Maybe if you get your favorite pry bar, it'll work, Jake.
I just ask myself, why am I being impatient?
It's true. You're in. Oh, I think you got hung up again.
I did.
Well, Origin's got your back. It'll just start right where it left off. No problem.
That can never happen. It was that cup of coffee I had before the show.
I know. I told you. Martine makes a strong cup of coffee.
He does.
After 11 a.m., I can't anymore.
So having a kid will do to you, man. It doesn't matter what time it is.
That's right. Dad coffee. 24/7.
I'll have an 8 p.m. espresso just to get to 10 o'clock.
All right, and I'm rounding that final corner, and maybe not.
It looks done.
Right there. Boom. Oh, yeah. Beautiful.
Such a satisfying thing.
Yeah, as you know, she really takes a lot of these different bits and kind of adds them in combinations where, you know, you really don't even see the ball nose cut once the lamp's assembled. It's just a means to get the cord in and out.
Yeah, it's just the right thing to do.
Yep.
And like feels sure it's one more bit swap, but
She's a very considerate designer.
I will say it is visible at the entry and exit point. So
It's true. It's true.
pretty important. If that was squared out.
But remember, there's going to be a cord in there too.
Yeah. So relatively simple part, but very complex. We have this joint down here happening. And then this beautiful channel. And alignment pins. All right.
Do you want to see if your cord fits through now? If we gave it enough
Before we assemble it.
Yeah, well, we can save the drama till later. I like it.
That's what we're going to save the drama.
All right. While you're sanding,
Just
should
knock the fuzz.
should we head to the break?
Let's do it.
All right. Time for a break. Today's poll, which will pop up on your screen any second now. Where do you usually get your lumber?
Yeah. We're thinking, do you go to the lumber yard and buy a rough? Do you have a source for kind of pre-milled lumber, S3S, S4S? Or are you in a position where you're like buying project kits of all pre-milled, pre-cut to length kind of stuff? So we're curious.
Remember, if you enter the answer to that, you are entered for the giveaways at the end of the show. So make sure you do that. And even if you don't usually get your lumber, you got to enter something if you want to win something later. So
I personally only build furniture out of trees that I've felled myself.
yeah, I normally grow them from seed and then wait until they're mature to take them down. So I actually haven't started woodworking yet.
So say, how old are you?
Yeah. Not old enough for an ash tree. Okay, so fill that in, and let's roll to shop tour time.
Yeah.
Ralph Crowther?
Crowther. Ralph Crowther. Thank you for sending that in. Let's check it out.
Welcome to my shop. I've walled off the front 16 feet of a 3-car garage, giving me approximately 450 square feet. We're going to move around the shop in a clockwise direction. First, you'll see the storage cabinets. I store less frequently used tools, supplies, and materials in these cabinets so they stay dust-free. Coming around the corner here, you'll see this is my wood turning area. Here I have my sharpening stations, both Tormac and low-speed grinders. On the walls, you'll see various turning tools, all on magnetic strips, so they're easy to grab, along with the various turning accessories and a cabinet full of smaller things that are required. Swinging around, you'll see my large Powermatic lathe. Below that is a smaller backup Nova Comet lathe that I have. Continuing around, you'll see storage for wood blanks, and then my 8-inch jointer from Powermatic. This also has a helical head. It's on wheels, so I can pull it out into the main shop for doing longer material. Then swing around, I got my air compressor here, a nice quiet one, and a portable air cooler for the warmer weather. Coming back out into the main area, I'll swing around. This is a large tool chest. I keep a lot of my charging and battery tools on top, along with my radio. and readily available tools that I need for marking and layout. Swinging around, you'll see my Laguna Tools 14BX bandsaw. Continuing around this way is a 15-inch Powermatic planer, also with a helical head, small DeWalt scroll saw, Laguna Tools dust collector, small wood storage. Swinging further around, you'll see my miter station with the Capex and its own dust extractor, and above it are nuts, bolts, screws, accessories, and labeled supplies. And below are all the pull-out for my Festool tools. I pretty much use Festool for everything. And these are all on drawers that pull out so you can readily access the tools. Continuing around, obviously the garage doors can be opened up to expand the shop. So I'm able to keep the table saw right up against the garage. This is a SawStop industrial saw where I built in my own router lift system into the side of it to our space savings. In the back corner there is a Performax 1938 drum sander. It's got its own dust collection for the tools on that side of the shop, a disc belt sander from Powermatic, an X-Tool laser. That's a 55 watt CO2 laser. And then you can see the very large workstation I have with a built-in MFT table, storage underneath for some sanders that I'll pull up as needed. But this allows me both have large outfeed and assembly areas. I have a boom arm connected to a Festool dust extractor and hose and power strip so I can work on any project here or over on the bench. Continuing on over here, of course, the wall is full of clamps and supplies, but you'll see here's all my shaper accessories and setup, including a new bench pilot that I've got up and running and starting to knock off a few Christmas gifts. Swinging around, I've got a Powermatic drill press, and below that some storage for sandpaper, drill bits, mini fridge. And on this side, you'll see my workbench. I also have a small portable bench that can go here on the outfeed table so I can work on a better height for me. And then my hand tool storage cabinet, loaded with woodpecker tools and hand tools and planes and some frequently used accessories and sizable slide to reveal, chisels and other tools. And that brings back around to where we started. So thank you for seeing my tour.
Fantastic. Thank
Very
you so
nice.
much.
Ralph, I got to give you a couple props. One, if you're already working on Christmas presents, that is quite the time. I'm normally like, the week of. So kudos on that. And can we just say, I don't think I ever get tired of watching shop tours.
No, absolutely not.
Which reminds me, we need more. So if you haven't sent us one yet of your shop, email sessions@shapertools.com with a video. Landscape, so it's long ways, so we can show it on the TV. 3 to 4 minutes. Narrate, so we don't have to talk for 5 minutes. And we'll send you something fun. Ralph, thanks a lot for sending that in. Nice shop.
Very nice shop. All right.
Are we, is break over?
Break's over.
Okay. Back to it.
Break is over. Where are my pins? I'm like super excited to get this assembled.
Oh, you are. Your Dowel pins?
Yeah. One thing I did is this cut leaves a lot of sharp, delicate edges. So this is the back side of the radius cut. So we need to knock that down a bit because it gets really thin and fragile. And then the entry and exit point of the cord, like Sean was saying earlier, is really sharp. But you want to keep that shape as much as you can. So I'm not trying to over influence it by sanding it, but just trying to.
Yeah, and I think the way that the project, I believe, if I recall, has it, is you basically put the dowels in, glue it up, feed the cord through later. I think there's another world where you feed the cord through now and then glue it up with it, so you don't have to worry about it. Because
I'm going to do that for this.
I think it could help. Okay, so yeah, assembly, glue, the dowels make everything so nice. You can just get some clamps and put them to sandwich them together. You don't have to worry about it slipping around at all.
Take my cord. I don't know how much I'm going to need here, so I'm going to go.
But you can always cut the cord down, and ideally it slides freely through it later.
True.
But you can at least get a look and see how it feels.
Okay. Here we go.
Oh, I like that snap.
Get in there. Go in your home. The cord adds one more layer of difficulty to get it assembled.
True. Where's Jake's hammer when you need it?
Boom.
Wow. I like that color combo. All right. Show the people the output.
That is very cool. It's just and slides in and out easily enough.
Oh yeah, that's the finding that right balance.
I'm going to say 8 thou was just a hair too much.
Really?
Yeah, I would have done maybe
A
5.
little less.
And lived with the struggle.
Yeah,
But the color is great.
yeah, color looks very nice. Okay, so we're not going to go over the next step. We're going to skip some steps. But the next step is you basically take this in the workstation and you see if we go to this top camera, if we can catch this. You essentially take some double-sided tape on the bottom of this here, and you stick it onto the workstation here, and you cut the profile of the circle on the top. Now, obviously, you could take it over to edge sander, etc., but there are some registration holes that attach the shade that also need to be cut. So we won't do that step here. It's pretty simple. Double-sided tape, make a grid, and everything's good there. Okay, moving on to the base. So this is a pretty fun part. And also, Jake, a little time check. We're at 4:50. So
Kicking into high gear.
we'll speed this one up a little bit because what we'd like to do is show you how to cut the base and then also cut the joint that the neck fits into. And so starting off, Jake's going to replace this top surface and get our material on there. If you're wondering, hey, where'd Jake get that huge shelf from? This is the new shelf upgrade kit, and it basically gives you about a, 16 by 11 space that you can attach your material to, and a lever on the front, I don't know if you can see it here, that allows you to micro adjust the amount here. So, oh yeah, you can't really see it in this picture, but there's a leg support that allows you to raise and lower the front in case you have a heavy material and you want everything to be nice and flat. We love the double-sided tape. There's many ways to hold it. I do believe, Jake, we have a bench pilot show coming up soon.
Yeah, we do.
To discuss a few of those things.
An advanced bench pilot.
Advanced bench pilot.
Work holding.
I'm pretty excited about that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, in this case, we're just using simple double-sided tape. And can't remember if you want a little space or not, but
I'm going to assume you do. All right.
get this leveled and then plop this file down. Now, when we're talking about this, and I'm looking at the PDF here, there's a couple cuts. One is just kind of profile material removal with a small notch that's going to insert into that air. Actually, the small notch is an interesting step for the next joinery cut. So we'll do that, and then we use this 10-degree tapered end mill bit that we have, conical bit, as Jake liked to call it earlier.
The unicorn horn.
The unicorn horn is the official name. We're going to use that to profile the outside to give it this beautiful, delicate thing. Now, obviously, you could do that other ways, but because we want this joint to be really nice and tight on the backside. If you were to do this on the router table, it would be really difficult to kind of stop at the right spot. But this file's built perfectly for this project, so you can follow her instructions and you'll get a really nice outcome. Yeah, I remember when we made the lamp. I remember Russ built one, I built one, and we really were like trying to simplify the process so that everyone who's using it would have a really good number of steps. I want to say this maybe was even before premium projects came out.
It might have been.
Yeah. All right, so make a new scan. Jake's you're gonna grid this one, probably. Yep. No, just align it.
Yeah, I think I oversized my material.
Cool. It also probably makes sense in this case to think about where you want the front and the back to be in the direction of the grain. On this one here, if we come to the front camera, we picked grain going this way, up and down. And I'd say it looks pretty nice, probably nicer than side to side.
Yeah, I think so.
So maybe just align it similarly.
So we have a metric option and a non-metric. We'll go with non-metric.
Yeah, always non-metric, right?
Snug that up right in there. Bingo.
Okay.
Great. All right. First router bit.
First router bit is going to be 1/4 inch bit to 0.6 inches deep. And really the main reason we're doing this is because the tapered bit isn't really built for material removal. You could probably go with it, but you're going to see burning. You're going to see that bit getting a lot more wear and tear. It's really a profiling bit. So removing waste with a different bit is always nice. Okay.
A little Z-touch. Make sure I really press down on this.
When you have the leg support set up, you can really, put pressure down on that piece
you
too.
Can jump up there. So we have 2 paths. This is cool.
Yes,
that's where that 11-degree taper bit's going to come in. There's an online cut, and then there's the outside cut.
Yes.
So let's go ahead and set our depth to
0.6.
0.6
says. And that's the profile cut is what we want to start with.
Beautiful, beautiful. Happy with all those settings.
Okay.
Preview cuts. Deselect all. And just select profile.
All right, so we'll let Bench Pilot do its thing. I'm trying to think what else. In this case, thinking about the grain direction, that's nice because, you're going to see and feel that later. But one of the cool things that happens here is we'll see when we get to this notch. There's a little inset right there, and that inset's going to allow us to probe and create the grid properly in the next step. And once this finishes, it's a pretty little interesting detail that we were trying to figure out how to solve. It'll be a pretty sweet little pro tip after this finishes. So we're going to cut the profile first, then we're going to cut that little notch, then we'll come back and profile the outside. Now, if you wanted a different profile, you don't like this 11-degree bit, that's up to you. You could do a ton of things to it. But she really picked a nice little detail, and I think that 11-degree bit is really subtle, but adds a lot.
Yeah, it does. It's modern.
Very modern.
Very modern.
And, it's really hard to do this any other way because you'll see when we get there, there's a start and a stop to that profile bit that allows the joint on the top to not conceal the spot where it cut into it. All right, so here's that finish pass. And I believe we have to come back with an 1/8" bit to clear out a couple little areas so the joint will sit a little more clean. You know, when you have a 1/4 inch versus an 1/8", those like corner reveals are a lot different. And so one of the ways we did this was clear everything out and then come back with those smaller bits to just make it look a little bit cleaner. You can see an area where it's not cutting right now. We're going to come back and hit that. All right. All right, next up, the notches. Yeah, well, you know what? We could do the... Yeah, let's do the angled cut first, and then we'll do the notch and the profile last together.
You got it.
Okay, so here's that. Is it 10 degree or 11 degree?
11 degree.
11?
11 degree. 4 flute. Yeah, 4 flutes coming together. It's a really cool geometry bit. Does, like you were saying, struggle with chip extraction if you're doing deeper cuts with it. But it's a 16th inch diameter tip. That's also a tiny bull nose, so it's great for doing signage too.
Yeah, I like it for signs.
Doesn't matter what I set my bit size to because we're doing an online cut. However, I want to do a manual Z-touch.
Yeah, and this says it's going to be cut to a 0.5 inch depth. So it's not the entire depth. It's a little bit less. And what's nice is when you feel the front, the bottom's flat, but it starts coming off after that.
What was the depth, sorry?
0.5 inches.
0.5.
In other words, half an inch.
0.5. Preview. Set.
Make sure you got the right selection. Yep.
Speed. 4.5.
Okay. Now, if you add passes to an open path cut like this, the way it works is it'll kind of cut one way and then come back the other way with added depth. And so, you know, technically for open paths like this, we will be climb cutting some of the cuts.
Yeah.
So watch here. We're going to come to here. It's going to go there, go deeper, and come back the other way. And so when you're doing open paths with bench pilot, you do need to think about that a little bit. In a lot of cases, it doesn't matter, but there are some cases, especially if you're removing a lot of material, where you might get a different engagement of cut each time. You know, if you've ever done Leah's other projects, there's a plant stand project we designed that does use a lot of online cuts with specific bit sizes. And you do have to be a little more careful because there are deeper cuts. All right. How's that look?
That is awesome.
We'll have to show that on the close camera after this.
Super subtle.
All right. Continuing on. 1/8 inch bit. This is where we're going to cut these notches out.
Got my pit crew.
Yep. Full depth. And the notch is this little part we're going to use for gridding in the next step. And then the rest is just to fully cut it out. So if we've already cut everything out, I think...
Just going to do this manually.
Yeah, I would do this manually. That way you don't have to fight bench pilot. Because there's a couple things here. One, you do need to cut that little corner out all the way to full depth because the last one didn't go all the way down. And then other than that, we're good.
0.6, 0 offset. It's really just a plunge.
Yes, I would just plunge those correct with the 1/8 inch.
All right, here we go.
And this is kind of the beauty of Bench Pilot Origin. You know, we could put it in Bench Pilot. It would not really know what to do, but all we have to do is go over those little points, hit plunge. It goes to full depth. and we move on. You'll see there's that last little insert that he needs to cut. So he's going to use the select button to make sure it selects the right one. Ooh, nice. Turn on helix. This is automatically going to move it around and around. So he's just going to hold on to the tool. Helix is a thing that's built right into the software. And then boom. I think that's it. The only thing I can remember, there was something weird about this. You need to recut the profile with the 1/8 inch bit, just that little spot.
Yeah,
that's the last little thing. So it might be a little hard to see, but you can see that there's a little bit of white between that notch and the rest. We need to make sure we cut that section as well. And then there we go. So great. All right. And then top is done, or not really the top. I guess the bottom of the lamp is done. Ooh. Nice flank.
That's why I love this flexible scraper, because you can kind of wiggle your way under and come in with the pry bar. And not damage your piece.
It's a twofer. All right. So show that profile off and see if you can see how it's, not fully tapered, just down to kind of the bottom. And then there's a flat there. Super subtle. You might not even be able to catch it on camera, but you can kind of feel it. All right. And then last thing, can you show the notch off? Because we need to explain the notch. So there's a weird cutout here. You can probably start seeing where it's going if you grab this, Jake. So that notch needs to accept kind of this setup here. Now, right now, the notch is being used for some alignment purposes. We're going to remove some of that material, but we needed that to be able to grid off of. So next step here, we're going to take that, we're going to rotate that 90 degrees, and we're going to cut the final cuts that should allow this arm to fit right into it. This is kind of my favorite little part.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's pretty complicated, but we couldn't figure out how else to do it.
In any way.
Well, I'd love to hear if you have a better one,
I don't think I will.
You might.
It's
been a number of years. I might have a better one now.
I like examples where Origin, you've explored all options, and it's like, really, this is the only way I would do this.
Okay, so we're going to lower the clamping face down because we need to cut beyond the material. Think of this as cutting. We're cutting the joinery section now. We're only going. Every cut's lower than 1 inch, so we only need to lower to that middle section.
Great.
If we were cutting deeper than 1, we'd want to lower to the bottom, and that gives us up to 2 inches. And all right, so we're gonna take this piece and put the support bar on top. And we're essentially going to take what we've already milled flat and reference the support bar.
A tiny little flat section.
That tiny little flat section.
All right.
I mean, you could probably argue it would be a little bit better if it was a wider section, but, we didn't want to put wings off the edge. And so it kind of is what it is. And it's enough to get it flat. Jake, I'm surprised you're not using the good clamps. You're going old school.
Yeah. You can't beat the
default workstation
default
clamps.
workstation clamp.
All right, so if you look at this image here, we have the top being as flush as possible to the two pieces, and then we just clamped it down. Now we can remove that. And if we look at this camera here, we kind of have this perfect setup. Now, I would probably take it and see if you can move it a little bit and make sure it's in there good because, You don't want it to move after you start cutting. And now we need to set up a grid. And so, oh, Jake, we messed up.
What do we miss?
Well, we didn't mess up, but we're going to have to change it. The tapered face should be inside. So we need to swap some stuff around. It's probably fine.
Okay.
So the grid is off of the face of the clamping face. And then the third one is we actually use the engraving bit inside of the little notch we've cut.
Start by scanning here. Getting rid of this. There's my thing. Grab
Grid.
my probe bit.
Okay.
Scalpel. Now, backside.
Yes. So you want to do the face, actually front side for you. Yep. If you're doing this at home, follow the instructions and not us.
Or if you make the same mistake.
Yeah, or if you make the same mistake, you'll have learned from us.
Or just unclamp it. Flip it
Or
around.
that, or unclamp and flip it. And then the third one, now this is where it gets tricky. So you need to raise the bit up. So if you look at the top, there's a little button that says depth, and mid-grid, you can raise that bit up. So you're going to peer down into the spot, and you're going to just have the bit right below. Yeah, there's a good shot
get down
of
in
Jake.
there. Oh, yeah.
And now you want a center grid. Make sure it's on the center. Yep, it is. And save it.
It's perfectly nestled in there.
Yeah, well, that's the point, Jake.
Bingo.
You can't mess it up. Okay, so now we have our grid set up, and we're going to go ahead and import this file called base joint. Now, this is a file that's going to basically remove those notches that we have sticking out. We only use those for gridding purposes.
Just going to go ahead and flip vertically.
Yep. And it should be fine because these are all, equal things. And now we just cut 3 shapes. We're going to use 1/8" bit. Another spindle swap. You do not have to have 5 spindles to do this project.
No, you do not. But it is pretty
quite
cool
nice
if you do. When you do, why not?
All right, so we're going to, let's see, step 1 is the middle. We're going to cut that to 0.441. Pocket cut.
Thank you for telling me that because now my text is upside down.
Oh, nice.
You
can't read upside down?
Is that 144? 0.441.
0.441.
Cool.
Okay. And then, so we can just set it all up now. We don't have to do them separately because we have bench pilot. Unless you want to cut them manually, you can do that.
No, let me go ahead and...
Yeah, wow. Let's just let bench pilot do the work.
And this one is...
I don't know if you heard, but when you were gone one week, I renamed bench pilot Jake.
Is that why there was a picture of me on it?
Yeah, exactly.
Is this 196?
Yes. No, the step 2 and 3 are both cut to 0.691.
691.
I still have the picture back here if you want me to put it back on there. Jake 2? All right. I mean, it is only right. It was right here for you.
I think it's defamation. That
Yeah.
was me at the holiday party.
I just think it's a good photo of you, Jake.
All right, I am all set here. That looks and feels really good.
Okay? It's going to cut that pocket first, and then it'll come back and cut the other ones. Cut to 0, offset.
Definitely don't need to do 7 passes.
Yeah. No, this is not. Oh, technically it is in grain because of the way we oriented it. Right?
Oh, yeah, so it'll cut like
Yeah,
butter.
cut like butter.
butter. Cool.
Okay.
Let's let it go.
Double check those settings. Yep, look good. Only thing now is the wait. Jake, how about a cup of coffee while we wait?
Now my first cup of coffee is worn off. I could use a second.
So I think this is a pretty sweet design thing because, you know, we designed this elements into the file that we're now removing. And the only reason those little notches were in the first one was because we wanted to find a way to orient this joint very precisely.
That is really cool.
If you didn't have those, you would have a round thing and you could kind of shove it up to the top, but it would be really hard to get it centered on this part. And so, I don't know, pretty interesting little problem solve, I think, from Leah to really figure out, hey, how do you make it so that this joint is almost bulletproof? Still being pretty complicated joint with multiple connecting parts plus a taper on the edge profile. And you'll see once we finish this, there's some really interesting things about how things come together once that neck joint comes in. Yeah, I think this was one of Leah's first projects we did. Some of the other projects we did simplify some so that they're a little easier to make, but this one's a teacher for sure.
Okay.
All right. So we cut that joint. We're going to go ahead and do our test fit and see what we got. Before we take it out. Okay. So you can see now there's no notch. We've totally removed that. And you really want a nice, tight joint here.
Yeah.
You like it?
I like it.
Okay.
There we go.
That part's done. Okay.
That's
So
cool.
that's the little interesting joinery challenge on this one. And then Jake can show it in the camera once we take it off a little easier. Yeah, so maybe show that off first. So now the notch is totally gone. We've basically removed it, and we just have a little notch in there that's going to accept the previous cut. And most importantly, it hides all the dog bones based on the way it's shaped.
Yeah.
So you never get to see kind of any of those weird cuts. That's part of the design of the file to kind of keep you from seeing that standard CNC furniture look. So
That is so neat.
yeah.
And there's a clamping jig for this, isn't there?
Yes, there is a little file in the shape of file. Maybe we'll bring it over here. When we're going to build this and assemble it, super simple. We'll come to the top camera. All it is a little clamping call with this angle that matches where the
neck to
neck
base.
is. Actually, you could probably put this on here and see it.
Yep.
Boom.
Nice.
And so that way, when you clamp, you get a really nice pressure right on the right axis.
And not that you're ever going to see it,
No. Yeah, this is the finished one here.
but it comes out with a super cool. The joint just looks so cool underneath.
Yep.
That's really neat.
Yeah, it's cool. It's a really nice technique. So we're a little late in the over, but I'd say there's a few other things we didn't go over in this video. You should check out that YouTube video for the rest.
The
I
PDF
also-
is, like we said, one of the best out there.
There's all sorts of different colors. Have fun with it. I wanted to show
Yeah.
I'm a little, I didn't finish this lamp. It's close. But I built
Going
one
wacky.
with a custom lid from a bag my sister sent me for Christmas one year. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. So I did that just by making this. And in the project video, she talks about how to make the shade. You use Origin to cut a wooden template. And then there's a material called, I want to say styrene, which is like what the lampshade's made out of. It comes in rolls like this, and it's kind of a hard plastic, but a little floppy. And you cut a jig out with origin and plywood, and then you use that to cut this with a knife. And so quite cool. Inside of the lamp, I'll show you this.
Oh, there's so many little parts.
There's a lot of parts. So you end up cutting, maybe if we come to this top camera again, that's the parts that come together. And all these are separate little pieces. And so like you can kind of pop them out here. Okay. And then all these are separate parts. So you cut all these little parts out and then glue those together. Now, when you're cutting these, especially anytime you're doing half laps, cut one test. You can see mine are a little not correct. I must have messed something up, but if you cut some tests, you can make sure those half laps turn out perfect. You could also just sand the top down a little bit. And then this attaches inside, and it's going to be a little hard to see it. Let's see if I can come up to here. There's a part that is on the inside of the lamp that actually holds this together. So there's a threaded insert in the back of here, and then there's 2 screws. This part comes out and holds this. You actually cut a hole into those 2. So
nice.
Very cool project. Lots of documentation online if you want to try it. Lots of different variances. I didn't really have the 11 degree bit when I made mine. So if you can see, I went for a little different profile. But up to you. World's your oyster.
And what color cord are you going with?
You know what, Jake? I think I had gone with the green one, but then you just took the green one. So I'm going to let you have the green because I think the green looks better with yours. And I'll, I don't know, maybe I'll go with this blue to match the match that. Anyways.
Right on.
Yeah. That's the Elate table lamp from Leah Amick.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
We hope you had a good time.